Let me ask you something that might sound simple. What are you living for? In a world full of distractions, noise, and endless comparisons, it's easy to drift through life without ever asking that question. But the truth is this: you have one life, not two, not 10, just one, and that life, it's not meant for wandering, it's meant for something. That something is your mission. You see, the difference between people who live fully and those who merely exist comes down to one thing: clarity of purpose. When you have a mission, clear, burning, and deeply personal, it becomes your compass. It guides your choices, shapes your mindset, and fuels your growth. No more waiting, no more blaming. From this moment on, we stop drifting and start deciding. Because one life, lived with one mission, is all it takes to change everything. We become what we think about. Every great achievement in human history began with one thing: a thought. A single idea held long enough and believed deeply enough to move mountains. That's because we become what we think about, plain and simple. Our minds are the starting point of everything. Every invention, every career, every relationship, every legacy, it all begins in the space between our ears. The thoughts we allow to grow there become the blueprint for our future. Think about it. If you constantly dwell on failure, fear, and limitation, what are you likely to produce? Your actions follow your mindset. Your habits are the echo of your beliefs, and your results, good or bad, are simply the harvest of the seeds you've planted in thought. What makes this so powerful is that it puts the steering wheel of life back in your hands. You don't need to wait for someone else to believe in you. You don't need permission to start thinking differently. If you want to live a life of purpose, it begins by feeding your mind with purpose-driven thoughts. Picture someone with a clear mission. They wake up each day already halfway ahead, because their mind is focused on where they're going, not where they've been. Their energy isn't scattered, it's directed. Their confidence doesn't come from luck, it comes from clarity, and clarity, my friends, comes from what we repeatedly allow ourselves to think. It's not magic, it's not wishful thinking, it's a law of nature. Just like you can't plant poison and expect to grow flowers, you can't fill your mind with fear, doubt, and negativity and expect to live a mission-driven life. If your mission is to help others, then think in terms of service. If your mission is to build, then think in terms of solutions. If your mission is to grow, then think in terms of progress, not perfection. Your external life will always mirror your internal world. Change your thoughts, and you'll begin to change everything else. But here's the catch: it takes intentional effort. Most people live their entire lives thinking about what they don't want. Worrying, complaining, comparing. That's not living on mission. That's reacting to life. Your mind is not a trash bin for other people's opinions or yesterday's failures. It's the engine of your destiny. One life, one chance, one mission. It all begins in your thoughts. So feed them carefully, guard them fiercely, and direct them wisely. Because the person who decides what to think decides who they become. And when your thoughts align with your mission, the world has no choice but to make room for your purpose. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What if everything you've been taught about success was only part of the truth? From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that success means reaching the top of the class, of the company, of the world. We're told it's about fame, wealth, titles, and applause. But that version of success is like chasing the horizon. It keeps moving no matter how far you run. True success isn't a fixed point. It's not something you arrive at one day, look around, and say, "I've made it." Real success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, and that changes everything. You see, once you understand that success is about direction, not destination, life becomes less about pressure and more about purpose. You don't have to wait until you have the perfect job, the perfect result, or the perfect plan to consider yourself successful. If you've set a meaningful goal, something rooted in your values, your vision, your heart, and you are working toward it with intention every single day, then you are successful. You are already living on mission. That shift in mindset is powerful because it means success is available to everyone, not just the privileged, not just the ultra-talented and not just the lucky few. It belongs to the person who wakes up and commits to growing, to building, to serving, to improving, even if no one else sees the work yet. It belongs to the artist who paints because they believe in beauty. It belongs to the teacher who pours into students one lesson at a time. It belongs to the athlete showing up at 5 a.m. with no spotlight, no crowd, just focus. These people are successful, not because they've arrived, but because they're moving, day by day, toward their worthy ideal. The key word here is worthy. A mission built on ego will burn out. A mission driven by trends will fade. But a worthy ideal, something bigger than yourself, something you believe in, something that challenges you to rise, that will keep your fire alive. It gives your journey meaning, it gives your effort value, it makes each step, no matter how small, part of something greater, and the beautiful truth is, when you focus on progress over perfection, you win every single day, even when the outcome isn't what you hoped for, even when the world doesn't clap, because your mission isn't about proving something, it's about becoming someone. You don't need to chase success, you need to define it for yourself. Once you do, everything changes, the stress fades, the comparison stops, the excuses vanish. Why? Because when you know where you're going and why you're going there, the journey itself becomes a reward. So remember this, you don't live one life to impress others. You live one life to pursue one mission, and if you're walking daily toward a goal that truly matters to you, then you, my friend, are already a success. The power of purpose. Purpose is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. In a world overflowing with information, opinions, and distractions, what separates those who thrive from those who simply survive is one defining force: purpose. Without it, we drift, with it we drive. Purpose is what gets you out of bed when motivation runs dry. It's what keeps your heart steady when life gets noisy. It's what brings order to the chaos, meaning to the struggle, and direction to every step you take. And here's the truth. The moment you discover your purpose, life stops being something that just happens to you, and becomes something you actively shape. One life, lived with one mission, anchored in purpose, can move mountains. Purpose gives pain a reason. It gives challenges a context. Without purpose, setbacks feel like punishments, but with it, they become part of the plan. Think of anyone who has ever done something truly meaningful. They weren't always the strongest, the smartest, or the most gifted, but they were driven by a clear why, a reason bigger than their fears, stronger than their doubts. That's the power of purpose. It gives your life a solid center that nothing can shake. When you know your mission, you stop being pulled in 1,000 directions. Your focus sharpens, your energy aligns, you begin to say no to what doesn't matter, so you can say yes to what does. But purpose doesn't arrive on your doorstep with a perfect plan. It's discovered through living, questioning, reflecting, and daring to listen to what truly matters to you. Not to the crowd, not to the trends, but to you. And the beautiful thing is, purpose doesn't have to be loud. You don't need to change the whole world to live with purpose. You just need to change your corner of it. You can live a mission-driven life as a parent, a student, a worker, an artist, a dreamer. Purpose isn't always found in grand gestures. It's often hidden in daily choices, quiet disciplines, and consistent values. Most people are not unhappy because they're unsuccessful. They're unhappy because they're unaligned. Their outer life looks busy, but their inner life feels empty. That's what happens when we trade meaning for momentum and direction for distraction. But when you realign with purpose, even ordinary days start to feel extraordinary. Because you're no longer just doing, you're becoming the person your mission needs you to be. So if you feel lost, don't search for motivation. Search for purpose, and once you find it, protect it, nurture it, and build your life around it. Because this one life is too short to waste on things that don't move you, don't shape you, and don't grow you. Your mission was never meant to impress. It was meant to ignite, and when it does, you won't need to chase anything. You'll become everything you were born to be. Responsibility breeds growth. Responsibility is not a burden. It's a breakthrough. In fact, it's the turning point of every meaningful life. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, people, or the past, and start taking ownership of your choices, your mindset, and your actions, that's the moment everything begins to change, because responsibility is power. It puts you in the driver's seat of your life. It says, no matter what's happened to me, I still choose what happens through me. That choice to respond with intention rather than react out of habit is where real growth begins. It's easy to play the victim. It's easy to point fingers, make excuses, and wait for someone else to fix things, but growth doesn't live there. Growth lives where ownership begins, and a mission-driven life requires growth at every level. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you caused every hardship. It means you accept your role and how you rise from it. It means you stop waiting to be rescued and start becoming the kind of person who builds their own way forward. And let's be honest, that's not always comfortable. Growth never is. It demands that we face our weaknesses, own our failures, and adjust our mindset. But that discomfort is where transformation lies. Every setback you faced, every mistake you've made, is a lesson waiting to become a stepping stone. If you take responsibility for it, that's how leaders are built. That's how legacies are shaped, not by avoiding struggle, but by facing it with open eyes and steady hands. There is something deeply empowering about looking in the mirror and saying, this is on me, and I'm capable. Because when you do that, fear loses its grip, doubt starts to fade. You stop seeing life as something that just happens and start shaping it with purpose. Responsibility isn't about being perfect. It's about being accountable. It's about showing up when it's hard, speaking truth when it's inconvenient, and doing what's right even when no one's watching. That kind of ownership builds character, and character sustains mission. The people who rise, the people who lead, the people who change their world, they don't do it because life was easy for them. They do it because they took full responsibility for how they would live, grow, and respond. They made a decision not to outsource their future to anyone else, and that choice gave them freedom, because when you stop waiting for better conditions, better timing, or better luck, and start becoming better yourself, that's when life opens up. That's when growth becomes inevitable. So if your mission is real, and I know it is, then make this your foundation, take full responsibility for your energy, your focus, your progress, your path, because you don't grow by chance. You grow by choice, and with one life to live, growth is not optional. It's essential. Own your path, grow through it, and become the person your mission demands. Discipline and persistence are the gatekeepers of greatness. Every dream, every mission, every meaningful achievement eventually runs into resistance. The journey gets hard, the excitement wears off, doubt creeps in. And that's where most people stop, not because they weren't capable, but because they weren't consistent. That's why greatness never belongs to talent alone. It belongs to those who show up when it's not easy, when it's not exciting, and when no one's watching. It belongs to the disciplined, it belongs to the persistent. Discipline and persistence are not just habits. They are the gatekeepers of every worthy mission. Discipline says, I'll do it whether I feel like it or not. Persistence says, I'll keep going even when progress is slow. Together, they form the unshakable foundation of a life that lasts, a mission that matters, and a purpose that prevails. We live in a world that celebrates fast success and instant results, but a mission-driven life doesn't run on speed, it runs on stamina. Anyone can be motivated for a day, a week, or even a few months, but discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's the quiet voice that says, this is who I am now. It's waking up early to work your craft, showing up when it's uncomfortable, and pushing through the days when giving up seems easier. And persistence, it's your refusal to quit, even when you've failed, even when doors close, even when nothing seems to be working yet. Because deep down, you know one thing, your mission is worth it. There's no success story without a struggle story. Every person who built something meaningful faced moments of deep doubt, of silence, of setbacks. But what set them apart wasn't luck or applause. It was their decision to keep showing up, brick by brick, day by day. They understood that discipline builds momentum and persistence protects it. Together, they turn small actions into lasting impact. When you stay committed to your mission through the highs and lows, you start building something the world can't ignore. That's how legends are made, not in grand gestures, but in daily effort, done with excellence and patience. And let's be clear, discipline and persistence don't make life harder. They make it clearer. They remove the noise. They eliminate excuses. They simplify your path. Every time you choose discipline over distraction and persistence over quitting, you align more deeply with your mission. You become more resilient, more focused, more free. You stop chasing results and start becoming the kind of person who attracts results, because your habits now reflect your mission, not your moods. So as you move forward, remember this. Your mission will demand more from you than comfort and convenience. It will demand discipline. It will test your persistence, and that's a good thing, because on the other side of those tests is greatness. One life, one mission, and if you meet it with consistency and courage, there is nothing you cannot rise to become.